Hello. In this video, we're going to look at some of the information, reports, and actions that are available in the Wagestream Partner Portal. One thing that I want to note is that this is in a demo sandbox environment, so some information might not appear as it would in real life. Depending on how we integrate with your payroll system, you'll find that some menu items on the left that we look at might not be available to you and may look slightly different in your real life application of Wagestream. So when you first log in to the Wagestream Partner Portal, you're going to see this dashboard here, which gives you a high-level overview of how many employees are in the system, how many have enrolled, how many have streamed, and so on and so forth. On most reports, you can change the date range that we're looking at. You can also filter by pay schedule. You can filter here by hourly or salary employees. And at any time, you can pull up a specific employee using the search bar in the top right. So from this dashboard, we can get a quick look at employee adoption. We can find out how many of the total employees have enrolled, how many have actually streamed their wages. Everything is dictated by this time window here that you set. And depending on your time frame, you're going to see different information in these graphs down below. Again, this is a sandbox environment. We don't have the real data here because there aren't enrollments and transfers and whatnot happening. Moving to our left-hand menu, what you'll see here is this to-do list. Depending on how we integrate with your system, you might not need this, but essentially what this is if somebody downloads and installs and wants to enroll in Wagestream, they're going to hit this to-do list. And what you'll do is we're going to pull this up and we're going to look at this test employee NIC 2. Essentially what you would do here is you would see the employee's name, you would see their employee code or employee ID, you would confirm their personal sort code and account number from your payroll system. Once you submit that, you will then get a Wagestream bank account that you then put back into your payroll system, and then you would confirm that, and then that's how their enrollment would be processed. Now, depending on how we integrate with your payroll system, we do this automatically for a large number of our clients, so you might not see or need this menu item whatsoever. Moving on to the usage report, this gives you a high-level overview of what sort of hours and shifts are being ingested for employees, how much money they have available to them, how much they've streamed across how many streams. And again, in the sandbox environment, these numbers are they're fake. In your real partner portal, you're going to see much more applicable real life information. Moving to our streamed wages report, this is more or less a drilled down version of the prior usage report. From a given time frame, you would see which employee, the amount, and the timestamp of any transfers or streams that they've made over whatever time period you specify. And again, on most reports, you can search for a specific employee, you can filter by pay schedule, and you can filter by hourly or salary employees. Another thing you can do is on each report, you can choose how many results to show per page, and you can also export these results into one of 3 formats. The employee status report, we're going to have to backtrack a little bit in our sandbox environment here to get some actual results. But what this allows you to see is we can see an employee's life cycle within the Wagestream app. Everybody starts from a state of new. The first time an employee installs and logs into the app, they reach installed. When they request to enroll in Wagestream and accept the terms of service, they reach pending. And we have a couple of hiccups here in the sandbox environment, but in a real environment, after their enrollment gets processed, they reach the enrolled state. And the first time a user accesses their earned wages, they transition into enrolled. So this just allows you to see the changes in status. This does not show you what an employee's status is at a given time. We're going to see that further down on the employee's report. Moving on to company statements. This is where you will find PDF copies of all billing statements that get generated for your organization. So if you need to refer to any historical billing data, you can find that here. Banking verification is another screen that you may or may not see depending on how we integrate with your payroll system. And if you do see this screen, you might see more or less information depending on privacy settings. Essentially what this is for a given employee with their employee ID listed on the left-hand side. We can see when this employee enrolled in Wagestream. We can see their beneficiary or personal bank account information. And then we see their Wagestream bank account information that gets generated when an employee enrolls in Wagestream. So this is an opportunity for you just to double check that a given Wagestream bank account is tied to a given employee in your payroll system. Moving on to the payroll report, this gives you access to 3 scenarios that could cause complications with individuals receiving their pay or utilizing the Wagestream service. The first one here is invalid bank details. That's pretty self-explanatory. We have the employee ID, the employee name, what beneficiary or personal bank account we have on file for them, and then the reason this bank account is invalid. Some common reasons here are what you see here, the sort code not being optimized for faster payments. All transactions on Wagestream are facilitated through faster payments. So if a bank account does not support it, then unfortunately we would need a different bank account on file. Other common reasons for someone to show on this report would be if we have a bank account that was closed, or if there's a typing error, we have a 1-digit off in the sort code or account number, and it's just an invalid bank account altogether. That's another reason that someone might show on this list. Next, we have the failed salaries report, where if a salary is sent to an invalid bank account, it's going to show on this report. So if anybody shows on this report, it's urgent that we either receive updated bank details from your payroll team so we can attempt to reprocess the salary, or we have the option to return the salary to your organization so it can be manually dispersed to the employee. And then lastly, we have missed salaries, where if a given employee's scheduled payday arrives and we do not receive a salary for them and do not process payroll, they will show on this report. As an administrator, you also receive information on failed and missed salaries the evening of a scheduled payday. Next, we're going to move on to the employees report. This is going to give you a list of all employees that are in your organization. Again, similar to the dashboard, we see the total eligible, how many have adopted or enrolled with Wagestream, how many are enrolled but haven't yet accessed their wages, how many have a pending enrollment, so still need some action to take place to finalize it, and whatnot. Depending on how we integrate, you might have the option to upload an employee via a CSV file, or you can add an employee manually. Again, you might not see these options depending on the nature of your integration. Okay, and then we're going to go into this test user. So this test employee, or any employee that you click into, you'll be able to get a look at how much they've earned in a given pay period, how much of those earnings they have available to them, how much they have accessed in the current pay period, and so on. We can also see what pay schedule they're on and when their last pay period began, when their next payday is, and so on and so forth. We have the employee details tab, wherein we can look at specific information about this employee, such as their salary, or if they were an hourly employee, their hourly rate, for salary, when they accrue, things of that nature. As we see in this blue box here, some of these details might be managed through integration with a payroll system. So when you visit this page as an administrator, you might notice that some of these fields are grayed out. That's because they're actually managed, and we integrate and pull these details directly from payroll. In the sandbox environment, there's of course nothing to integrate with, but in your real application of Wagestream, you might find that, for example, you can't edit someone's salary or their email or their employee ID because that information is being pulled from an external system. One thing you will be able to change is streaming settings. Now, every organization has organization level streaming settings for how much of a gross wages an employee is able to access, how much they can stream per pay period, how many times they can transfer per pay period, and so on. You also have the ability to set these on an employee by employee basis simply by pulling them up in the partner portal. Next, we have their activity history. This is similar to the employee's status report that we looked at earlier, only specific to this employee. So we can see when this particular employee installed, requested enrollment, reached the enrolled status, and then transferred. Moving over to the streamed wages report, if we had an actual transfer that was recorded here, we would see the amount and the timestamp that the transfer took place. And then same thing here for salaries. When we process salaries, we have the date, the amount, and then you can download a PDF copy of the statement. This will be useful because it details the net wages that we receive from you, the employer. It details any transfer activity that was balanced during the pay period and has the net amount that is ultimately deposited to the employee. The employee has access to this in the Wagestream app, and they are also emailed this PDF on payday. And up here at the top, you're going to see a variety of options available to you as an admin for a given user. We can send them a password reset. If an employee has opted into or has enrolled in Wagestream but wishes to opt out and no longer use the service, you can do so here. What this does is this disables their access to Wagestream and facilitates a process where their bank details get reverted back to their original bank details from the Wagestream bank account. Now, again, depending on how we interface with your payroll system, that process might be automatic or it might require manual intervention on your part. Again, you might have the option here to change their bank details. So if we don't directly pull that information from your payroll system, you would have this button here to change it within Wagestream. You can also pause or unpause an employee. For salaried employees, this will also give you the option to pause their salary accrual in addition to pausing their access to transfer. And then lastly, for anybody who maybe hasn't enrolled in Wagestream yet, you can send them an invite email, which will contain steps to get them logged in, download the app, and so on and so forth. Going to look at the shifts report. The shifts report gives you an overview of each individual shift that's been ingested over a given date range. You may find it beneficial to search for employees, or as in previous reports, you can filter by pay schedule, by hourly versus salary. You can download this report into a variety of formats and whatnot. Clicking on the employee's name will take you into the employee details page that we looked at previously. We're going to skip the info stream menu on the left side and go right to company info, which just has some very high level information, the company name that we have in our database, whether or not your account is currently in trial or it's live, currency and time zone, what pay schedules we've ingested, and so on. Next, we're going to look at the admins page. We can see username, phone number, and email of any administrators, when the admin was created, and when they last logged in. You can add administrators using this button here in the top right. If you need to remove an administrator, you're going to want to contact our support team so they can do this on your behalf. Next, we're going to look at the charges. These are amounts that Wagestream has been unable to settle, usually when an employee leaves and we are not able to process a final salary for them. They might have transfers or streams that are outstanding. If you have any questions or anything shows up in this report, you're going to want to contact your partner success manager or our support team. Next, we're going to look at the expenses page. Expenses are useful when there's going to be a payment that arrives outside of an employee's normally scheduled payday. Common uses for this are things like mileage reimbursements, expense reimbursements, things of that nature. And the reason for doing this is if a payment is received into a Wagestream bank account that is outside of the scheduled payday, our system is going to treat it as if it's a salary, and it's going to attempt to balance outstanding transfers, lock them out for the remainder of the pay period, things of that nature. So if you're going to be processing off-cycle payments, you're going to want to come to this expenses page and upload a CSV file, which contains the amount in pence of the payment and the employee ID. You can upload that file here, the expected date that that payment is going to arrive, and then when that payment does arrive in our system for that amount, for that employee, our system will know to ignore it and to not treat it as a salary and balance their streams and so forth. The integrations page we're going to skip over because that's something that's available to our support team to help support you. And then last but not least, you may have the option to securely upload a file to Wagestream here. If you want to send a file to us through a secure method that's not through email and you don't use some other encryption or protection service, you may have access to this menu item here to be able to upload and send files to our support team. Lastly, we're going to look at our support section, which is accessible here in the bottom left, or by clicking the purple question mark in the bottom right corner of the screen. When the menu pops out, you'll have access to a variety of frequently asked questions, help articles, and so on and so forth, as well as the ability to contact our support team. When you choose to contact our support team, you'll have the option to choose from a couple of automated common questions to be able to answer your inquiries quickly, or you can choose that you have another question and you'll be able to manually type something out to our support team. Now, I'm recording this in the evening in the United States, so based on the time of day and how many inquiries we are receiving, our time to reply is estimated at a few hours. So this is just an estimate, and it does take into account time of day and how many inquiries that we've had. Now, when our team responds, you'll be able to see a notification down here in the bottom right. You'll be able to go about your business, continue using the portal, and you won't miss our replies. Our replies are also sent to you automatically via email if they are not seen within several minutes here in the Help Center. And that's a quick overview of the Wagestream Partner Portal. I hope you found this information useful. Again, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact our support team, and we would be very glad to assist.